Folks, we are here watching the late game. Aw man, it feels good to get some video game commentary out there on the channel after an entire day's worth of Streamlabs recording because there were so many trades and roster moves. But this video is gonna be a late one because man, that was a late game. I'm sorry, it was entertaining. There were a lot of good things that we could talk about. We can go over the Elias Pettersson, Sidney Crosby angle. We can talk about this being potentially Brock Boeser's last game as a Vancouver Canuck. But I wanted to say one thing before we get into all of that, and it's that this show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go out there and check out that first link in the description to save some money on your VPN, get some free months, and support this YouTube channel in the process. Okay, we can divert from that. The real thing that stands out to me after this Vancouver Canucks victory over the Anaheim Ducks was the gosh darn length. I get it, it was a 7:30 p.m. PST start, so by nature it was going to be half an hour beyond what we're used to. But normally the Canucks games end at like 9:40, 9:45, maybe 9:50 if we're pushing it. Normally, you would see something before 10. And adding 30 minutes would push it just a little bit beyond 10, right? Like 10:15 or maybe 10:20 if you're really pushing it. This game ended at like 10:30. Oh, like, or you're gonna get all psyched out about 10 extra minutes. Yeah, because these 10 extra minutes, whatever it was, I don't know, man. This felt like it took ages. This game, from the 7:30 p.m. start to the Carson Soucy goal review at the end of the second, to the shenanigans at the end of the third with all the fighting and all the extra penalties, I had some friends at the game texting back and forth as everything was going on. I was like, hey, is anybody else feeling like really tired or really out of it because of the time of this game? And they're like, yeah, I'm tired. It's so late here in Rogers Arena. Maybe not as late as, like, I don't know, a concert, XYZ, whatever, name whatever it is you want to toss out there. But for a regular season Vancouver Canucks hockey game, this one really tested the patience of a lot of fans with all the downtime and how far it extended. I don't know, was I the only one that had some sort of an issue with that? Anyways, the Vancouver Canucks defeated the Anaheim Ducks 3-2 in regulation and get their revenge on the team that absolutely embarrassed them just a few nights ago on the road. This game was arguably, maybe even definitely in some people's eyes, the best game Elias Pettersson had played maybe in a year. And I know that's kind of boy who cried wolf territory to get into because we've been making these, the best Pettersson game of the year videos all year. But that's the thing. The fact that he rarely has good games this season means that it's important whenever he does have a good game that we talk about how he has a good game. And Elias Pettersson on today's matchup, on today's scorecard, ended off with a stat line that reads like this. Pettersson, unfortunately, did not get any points in this game, but he had 20 minutes and 47 seconds time on ice, the highest amongst all forwards. He had 3 shots on goal. Nice. He had 5 hits. That's awesome. And he was at 80% on the faceoff circle. In fact, John Shorthouse said this after the game, that on this season's worth of play, 2024-2025, there's only 2 guys in the league who have won at least 20 faceoffs in one game this season. One is Sidney Crosby, and the other was Pettersson tonight. Pettersson won 20 out of 25 total faceoffs today against the Anaheim Ducks. What an absolute monster in the dot. That's something that we definitely have never said about Pettersson in his entire career, pretty much. I mean, you can say what you want about the 100-point seasons, the goals, the playmaking, the Datsuk-like qualities, the slap shot on the rush, the Wayne Gretzky comparisons. You could say all this from Pettersson's historied tenure in the Vancouver Canucks organization dating back to his rookie season in 2018-19. You can say a lot about what made him great, but never was it the face-offs that stood out in a lot of Canucks fans' minds. Like, we talked about Bo Horvat as a clutch face-off guy. At times we talked about Teddy Blueger as a face-off guy. JT Miller even was a dog on the draws. Pettersson was never that, and so to see, after all the temptation of this season, where Pettersson is snarky with the media, he's angry that he's not playing well, the day after he faces the music in a media scrum where he admits everything that's been going wrong with his game and he takes accountability for it all, for him to respond with a game like this, where maybe at times he was still looking a little bit stiff, but he was making smart plays, he was facilitating the puck properly, he was winning 20 out of 25 faceoffs. I mean, are the Anaheim Ducks just weak on the draw or what? EP40 was the only guy since Sidney Crosby this season to have 20-plus wins in the dot in one hockey game. That's ridiculous. Now, shifting gears over from Pettersson because he did not get a point in this one, I wanted to talk about one more guy, Brock Boeser, because this was a game where Brock was getting robbed left, right, and center. The opening chance against John Gibson where Boeser comes in on the rush and then Gibson, the puck ends up behind Gibson and he does a full 360 rotating his extended left arm backwards to reach and grab the puck out of midair and swipe it away. I mean, that is just absolutely incredible. I have Gibson in fantasy on my main league this year, so I was super happy to see him return finally after being injured for so long, and to see him pull that off. Obviously, I was really pissed off when he got hurt again, but John Gibson showing that he's got a lot of value as an NHL goaltender with that beautiful save. Lukas Dostal robbing Boeser on the 1T in the third period as well. I mean, everybody's been talking about, oh, is this his last game as a Vancouver Canuck? The Canucks don't play another game until after the trade deadline Friday night. So, is Brock Boeser going to end off his Vancouver Canucks career getting robbed twice by Anaheim Ducks goaltenders? Who really knows? Brock ended up getting an assist in this game. Nice to see him get on the scoreboard there, but with that in mind, let's actually get on to the goals here because, you know, it's a late video. We're already however many minutes in, 7 minutes in. Oh boy, let's talk about it. So the Vancouver Canucks were dominant in the first period. They outshot Anaheim 17-5. It's the most shots on goal they've had in a first period all season, yet they come away down 1-0 because Sam Colangelo tipped in a Cutter Gauthier shot really strangely. Cutter Gauthier at the point ends up throwing it towards the goal with 6 minutes to go in the first period, and Colangelo is right there. It's a really high tip. I thought there might have been a good chance that it was called back for a high stick or off the glove or something, but it's a really tight tip. There's no review on the play, and the Ducks have the 1-0 lead at the end of the first period. Second period comes along, though, and this is where Jake DeBrusk gets things going for the Vancouver Canucks on the power play. Power play for Vancouver was not great. They were 1 for 5 today, but they were 1 for 3 at some point at the start of this second period. So Phil Hronek makes a long breakout pass to Brock Boeser, who comes in on a 2-on-0. He then throws it over to the left side for Jake DeBrusk, who walks in, he shoots, and he scores. The Canucks then make it 2-0. It is none other than Teddy Blueger. Another long pass from Phil Hronek finds Blueger as he streaks down the right side. He takes a shot. It's kind of a muffin, honestly, but it hits the Anaheim defender in front and beats Dostal through the glove. A very ugly goal from a goaltending perspective, but it does hit his own teammate in front, so it's not really Dostal's fault. Elias Pettersson got a point on this one, not Elias, and Phil Hronek with his second assist of the period ends up making it 2-0, and then at the end of the second period, you had all sorts of calamity in front. Jacob Trouba absolutely buries Kiefer Sherwood in the crease, and as the Canucks are cycling it around as they're moving it and trying to shoot, the puck ends up finding itself onto Carson Soucy's stick, who one-times it right by Dostal. Sherwood is in the crease, and upon a lengthy, like 5, 6, 7 minute review, it seemed like, the Anaheim Ducks do not get the challenge to go. The referees are like, yeah, it's determined that the player was shoved into the net by the Anaheim defender. It's his actions that caused the Sherwood being in the net there, so it's not goalie interference. It's a 3-1 hockey game at the end of the second. Now in the third, the Canucks did have some chances. They outshot Anaheim 12-6 in the third period, but Brian Dumoulin gets the only goal of the frame here to make it 3-2 and to make things interesting with 6 minutes to go. It's Isaac Lindstrom with the initial shot and Dumoulin on the rebound. Hronek not there to knock the puck away. At the end of the third, though, we had a lot of really interesting, feisty moments. Connor Garland and Trevor Zegras got into it. Derek Forbort got into it too with one of the other Anaheim Ducks guys. It was I think it was Trouba. So lots of animosity there between these two teams as the game progressed. But ultimately, I think the biggest angle of this game was Elias Pettersson, and it was Brock Boeser as well. Petey and Boeser, man. Imagine these two guys taking up the headlines in Vancouver hockey like they were all those years ago back in 2018, for example. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Firstly, about the Sidney Crosby comparison. Secondly, about the time of the game. Thirdly, about Brock Boeser. And fourthly, about the game itself. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, but I've already finished up my time here on this video, so I'm going to leave y'all with that. Gonna take a nice long sleep as well, heading into trade deadline season tomorrow and tomorrow after that. So thoughts in the comment section below about this game. I hope you enjoyed this video. Signing on, and bye.